Welcome to the Work From Home Milspo Movement Podcast, a place where we are meeting military spouses where they are at and providing real solutions to military spouse employment. My name is Lauren Lonsdale, and I am a 16-year Marine Corps spouse. I'm the owner of a creative marketing firm and the instructor behind the Work From Home Milspo courses, which teach military spouses skills to become creative marketing virtual assistants. I am here to provide insight into creating and growing your work from home career, either as a military spouse creative marketing assistant, entrepreneur, or remote employee. Join us as we create a movement towards better solutions for military spouse employment, combat financial insecurities for military families, and work to increase service member retention by helping increase the betterment of military spouse and military family mental health. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Work From Home Milspo Movement Podcast. My name is Lauren Lonsdale, and I am here today in actually sort of sunny Okinawa, Japan. It has been rainy the past couple of days. It's so nice to have a little bit of sun shining in a little for part of the day. And today we're kind of talking about something a little more nitty gritty. So last episode I talked about my story, how I grew, how I became, the business owner that I am today. But today we're kind of talking about you guys and how you are first getting started in building your brand. So if you are in my, if you've done my course or you're in a cohort now, or you're waiting for a new cohort to start wherever we are in your listening journey with us, you will know that I talk a lot about, creating a brand for yourself. I truly believe that even if you work for a VA agency, no matter what, everyone has kind of a personal brand, whether it's your business or you as a person. You have a personal brand. Even if you don't work, you are a personal brand, right? And I think it's really important to keep that in mind as you start your business growth and as you start your VA business, or you freelance, or you're looking to join an agency, because your brand is how people see you, how people perceive you. And that can be really important when you start to take on clients and you start to build your business. And not that your brand has to be the same all the time. It can evolve just like people do. But as you're getting started, I think it's a really great mindset shift to not think about, who it's my business and my clients. It's really, how do I exude my personal brand to people as a whole, not only my business, but who I am and how that works with how I interact with clients and things like that. I think that really helps build that brand trust and authority in your niche, in your field. And in this case, we're talking about virtual marketing assistants, but this really could be for anybody building a brand portfolio or a personal brand, or how they're perceived. It's really, I think it's really valuable to kind of make that mindset shift into, it's not just, I'm Lauren, this is my business, these are my clients. It's, I'm Lauren, this is my whole entire business. This is how I run my business. This is how people perceive me on social media. This is how people perceive me in my courses. This is how my clients see me. And then they can then therefore go out and prosper, so to speak, and spread your business name to others, because they know who you are and they value what you have to say and what you can do. And so kind of making that mindset shift, like I said, into, I'm not just Lauren, I'm Lauren, who is the owner of Aura Digital Consulting, who is also the instructor at the Work From Home Milspo. I have an entire brand personality that helps people say, when they hear someone say, oh, I need someone for XYZ, they're like, oh, Lauren's the perfect person for that. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode today. How do you create that brand identity? How do you build that brand trust? And how do you build authority within your niche, within you being a virtual marketing assistant, especially as we're getting started and you haven't had any clients yet? Okay, so let's just say you are just getting started in this business. You haven't had a first client. You haven't been hired by a VA agency yet. You don't know how you're going to showcase to people what you can do. Now, if you are part of my Work From Home Milspo cohort or the courses, you know that part of our cohort, part of our certification program, is that we create a fake brand. Not only do we build out your virtual assistant website, but we actually create a fake brand for you so that you can showcase to clients, to potential virtual assistant agencies, what you're able to do. even though you don't have somebody coming to you and paying you, doesn't mean that you haven't created these things. You haven't created the landing page. You haven't created the social media templates, that you haven't created the brand board. You've done all those things. You know how to do them, and you can showcase your talents. They don't have to know, or they can know if you want them to, but they don't have to necessarily know that this person didn't pay you to do that. Whoever this person is, this fake person that was made up by ChatGPT. It allows you to say, here's what I can do. This is what I can provide for you. And this is who I am as a web designer, as a social media manager. And this is my aesthetic. This is what I love to do. This is my niche. Whatever you're creating for your brand, you can do that by creating your fake brand portfolio, which is a big part of exuding that brand trust, especially when you are just beginning. That is my absolute number one tip. When you are just beginning to get clients or work for a VA agency, if you haven't found a position, you haven't found a client, or even if you're not super busy, you have one client and you're just kind of getting your feet wet, start building those brand portfolios. Start creating fake brands to put up on your website. So when people go and somebody says, oh, I have the perfect person for you, and they send them to your website, you have something to showcase that you are able to do. And people feel like, oh, they've done this, they can do that for me, right? Just like we do when we, let's say, move to a new duty station, and you get on your Facebook group for your new duty station and you say, or your neighborhood, and you say, hey, I really need a new hairstylist. Who do you guys recommend? That's what these people are doing. They're recommending a brand. It's a person, maybe, but a brand that they have used and that they trust. And that's what people eventually are going to be doing for you. A lot of what comes from these clients, these freelance clients, or even within VA agencies, sometimes they will have, they'll say, I want to work with, like, a client will say, I want to work with this person because somebody else who's worked with your agency really recommended them. Or your own VA manager will say, I know this person can do XYZ, that you are the brand. Like, they are trusting you because they recognize what you're able to do. That's all building brand trust and authority. So again, biggest tip is to start creating those fake brand portfolios, even if you don't have your clients yet, even if you haven't been hired by a VA agency yet, because it will legit show that you can do these things that you say, the services that you offer. So if I could give any big tip to you as you're beginning to build your brand trust is to do that. So once you have done that, and eventually you'll start getting those clients. I can tell you that networking piece is the biggest thing. That is how I have found almost all my clients have been either direct referrals or networking through Facebook groups or some sort of other networking event or whatever it may be. And that the brand trust that I have, not only as my personal brand, who they see me on social media, who's worked with me before, things like that brand trust, but also being able to say, hey, here's my website. Head to my website. You can see what kind of work I do. You can see what this is. Or referrals will say, hey, go check out her website. Go to auradigitalconsulting.com. You can see all the stuff that she does. And that builds your brand trust and authority. So that's why in our course, not only do I have you create that fake brand as part of the certification process, but I also have you develop your own website, because that's a huge part of building your brand trust and authority, is having a real official website that people can go to, that can see that you are a professional, not that you're just posting on Facebook. Oh, I can do that for you. How do they know? They have no idea if you can do that for them or not, if you don't have anything to show them that you can do those things. Like a hairdresser, like I mentioned, would you go to a hairdresser that just says, oh, I can do that for you? They have no pics. You have no idea what they actually can or cannot do. Nobody's ever used them before. Who are you going to trust? That person, or a person who has a website that you can look at reviews, you can look at pictures, you can look at things that they've done before? That gives you the brand trust and authority. And even when you're first getting started, that's okay. You're not a hairdresser. Hairdressers could use fake mannequins, I guess. But anyway, you can create these fake brand portfolios for yourself to help build that brand trust and authority. Okay, so that is if you're just getting started. But what happens now that you've kind of gotten started? Where do you go from there? Okay, so now that you have, let's say you've gone through and you've had maybe a couple clients, a client here and there, And now you're ready to kind of be a little more forward facing. And that's really what you should be doing next. But as you've kind of building your portfolio, whether it's a fake one or you are just kind of showcasing what you can do, or you have a couple clients here and there, what can you do now to make yourself a little more forward facing? There's a few things that you can do that really will help you increase your brand trust and your brand authority. First of all is testimonials. So as you begin to get these clients and clients are coming in more and more often, testimonials can help you hit that next level of, hey, these are real people who have worked with me. Here's what they had to say. And that can really help any client you have. If you work for a VA agency, you have to make sure that it's allowable within your contract. But obviously, if it's a freelance client, you can do what you want. But if you were working for an agency, sometimes they won't allow you to take testimonials from clients or utilize what you have created for the client in your own personal portfolio. I don't do that over at the Orange agency. I want my VAs to be able to show people what they've done, even if it's under me. But some agencies will tell you absolutely not, like you can't share what you've done with other clients. Always ask permission, of course, but every client you work with, even the smallest ones, you made a lead magnet for them, you made a PDF handout for them. Ask them for a review. Say, hey, what did you love about working with me? What did you love about our time together, the product I made for you? And get those testimonials and start collecting them. What I do is I create an Excel sheet, and anytime I have a client that comes in, a new client comes in, I write down their name, their brand, and what we're doing for them. And then when the project is complete, I will ask them for a testimonial, and I will put that testimonial in the Excel sheet along with what we did for the project, because oftentimes the project will expand beyond what your initial contract is. And then this way, I have just a running list of testimonials, not only for myself to use, but for my VAs to use for me when they do our social media, when we do things on our website and things like that, we can pull from that stuff and have a variety of testimonials from clients to say all the things that we did for them or what they enjoyed and things like that. So as you start gaining those clients, as long as it's okay in your contract, start to ask for testimonials, and don't be afraid to ask. Most people will be happy to send you one, but they won't think of it on their own. So just ask. Second thing you can do, which might seem like a no-brainer, but can also be one of the hardest things to do, even though we kind of work in this digital marketing space, is showing up on social media. I know from personal experience, social media is probably the hardest thing for me to do as my own brand. That was the first thing I outsourced, was my social media. And I can tell you, even now, it is very hard for me to get up and do reels and do all these things and think of what I want to talk about and what I want to showcase for my brand and things like that. So I've outsourced some of it, but truth be told, the times I get the most amount of clients or new inquiries or things like that is when I myself personally am showing up forward facing, doing a reel, doing social media content, because it's coming from me and it's my face, it's my brand. And so if you are at a point where you're starting to want to, create that brand trust, create that brand authority at the next level, social media might be the next thing. Several ways that you can kind of make social media a little bit easier on yourself, especially when we're talking about forward-facing content like reels and things like that. I usually create kind of a content calendar or somewhat of a series. So two different things that work for me. Might work for you, might not. One is creating content calendar based on these podcasts. I will create my content calendar for podcasts because it's very easy for me to think of big, high level, overarching type of content. And then from there, I have my social media team do my regular, everyday grid style content with, carousels and things like that. But they'll take this content, this topic, and write upon it and create social content around it. But then I will go ahead and I do my podcast, and all of a sudden I've got all this content that I can use for social media reels. Not meaning I take this podcast and make it into a reel. My team does that. But what I mean is that I can now sit down and say, okay, I'm going to make a reel on brand trust and authority, and I'm going to condense what I just talked about into a reel. Or I'm going to take a part of what I just talked about and make that into a reel, that small topic, and make it into a reel or a story or a grid post or whatever that is authentically me and forward facing. And that really helps to give me something like a timeline for me to work off of, because I'm not great at creating social content way in advance. There are people who are like, batch your reels, do all these things. That's not me. I don't like to do that. I like to use actionable things that were within my time right now, that I'm talking about right now, or that I'm going through right now. And so that's how I kind of do it with the podcast, is that I'll have these podcasts recorded a couple weeks to a month ahead of time. And then I will create, when the podcast comes up and is live, then I'll start creating content based on that podcast. And that really helps me. Another thing that has been really useful to me, more on a personal brand level versus a organizational brand level, is creating series. I think having something that's like day one of da 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 is a great way to keep yourself consistent in content. I've done daily tips for business owners. I've done daily tips for virtual assistants. I'm currently doing like a vlog style of my reaching my higher self. So talking about some of the mindset shifts that I have as a business owner, and some of the health and wellness stuff that I'm doing to kind of reach that higher self and reach my business goals. And then I'm going to be doing a series soon about us moving to a new house. So that's going to be like on my military side, talking about, we're moving to this new house. This is what the new house looks like. These are the things I'm going to do to organize, to make my office space, all of these things that kind of focus on me being a VA, or owning a VA agency, being a marketing firm owner, and being a military spouse. So series really help me too, because then I'm able to be kind of forward facing in that way. So those are two ways that you can do it outside of creating a full content calendar and having those grid posts and those carousels. Those are things that eventually you can outsource if you want to, but as you're getting started, generally you're not outsourcing that. You're creating that, but you can use your content calendar for a larger, let's say, blog post or something like that, to create all those little pieces. So instead of being like, today I'm going to talk about brand authority, and then Wednesday I'm going to talk about this topic, and Friday I'm going to talk about this topic, pick one for like 2 weeks and then talk about that over and over again in different ways. There's your content. And it's so much easier to kind of manage on your own. And then in terms of your own, like, thinking about it, just coming up with content, it starts, once you get it going, you're like, oh, I can talk about this, I can talk about this, let me offshoot this. It really, really helps. So that's my forward facing, like, strengthening your brand trust and your brand identity through social media. What is the purpose of that? That is so people can see you. People can see who you are, what you do, what you offer. Now, if you don't want to be personally forward facing, you want your business to be forward facing, you can still do that. You don't necessarily have to have your literal face forward facing, but whether you do faceless reels or you do stock images or B-roll content to talk about those things, you can definitely do that within your business organization as well. As long as you are presenting this information in a personal way to kind of build that brand trust and authority, like, hey, I can do this, and this is how I can relate to you, and this is how I can change your life for the better, because I can do XYZ for your business and take all these things off your plate. That's a great way to establish that brand trust and authority, and make people feel like they can trust you with their business. They can trust you with these tasks that they're asking you to do. Because at the end of the day, authenticity and relatability are what is going to get people to come to you as a service provider. And that's what, and the fact that you can do something to help them. And so if you can exude that within your brand trust and authority, that is exactly what you need to be doing. So social media is a great way to do that. Not everyone loves social media, and it's not to say you absolutely have to be on social. There are plenty of brands and organizations and people who grow their businesses to the level that they want to grow them to without the use of social media. It's totally possible, but it is a great forward-facing way especially when you're brand new, that people can look to your socials, look to your website, and see who you are and what you do. The last thing I'm going to talk about, which I kind of touched on before, is networking. I know, and we talk about this in the course, towards the end of the course where we talk about finding your ideal client and things like that is networking. I can tell you, as a service-based business and all the service-based businesses I have worked with, and even some of the product-based ones, that networking and reaching out to people in an authentic way has been the best way to grow my business. Almost all of my business has come from direct referrals or some sort of networking, whether it's Facebook groups or in-person networking events. That's where all my business has come from, especially on the referral side. These are clients who have worked with me, who've then referred me out, or people who have just seen me on social media. People who have seen me in Facebook groups have said, oh, hey, I've seen this girl pop up a bunch about VA courses. You should go check her out. Or, hey, I've seen this girl pop up a bunch about web design. You should go check her out. That's how I've gotten my business, the bulk of my business. And so what I like to tell clients, and you as VAs or up and coming VAs, or even my students, is people don't know what you're selling unless you tell them you're selling it. Whether it's on social media, whether it's through networking events, whether it's through your blogs, whether it's through ads, whatever it is, people don't know you're offering something unless you tell them you're offering it. So even in these in-person networking events, sorry, the sun, it like just got really bright in my eyes. I put the blinds down, but it's like, woo, just got really into my face. Networking events, or anytime you talk to anybody, even if it's not a networking event, you're at a spouse coffee or you're meeting somebody for the first time, when you talk to them about what you do, or they ask you, hey, so what do you do? Do you work? Whatever. Tell them what you do. Don't be afraid to be like, yes, I do work. Actually, this is what I do. These are all the things I do. These are the types of clients I take on. Because even if they can't use you, chances are that they're going to hear at some point somebody talk about needing a web designer or something. And they're going to be like, hey, I actually talked to this girl who's in my unit who is, I'm friends with her on Facebook, or I've seen her pop up on the community pages. Hey, you should reach out to her and see, like, if she can help. So these networking events, or the ability to network, not even networking events, but the ability to just talk about what you do, and not in a narcissistic, like, oh, this is everything that I do and I'm so great and all these things. Not like that, but in a way of just like, yeah, these are the things that I do. Just like you would say, oh, I'm a nurse. You can also say, oh, I own my own marketing firm, or I'm a virtual marketing assistant, or I build websites. Like, that is all things that you can talk about that you do. And then when it comes to some of the non-physical, like not in person networking, we talk about this a lot in our cohorts, is Facebook groups. I know it sounds archaic, especially for you who may be like Gen Z, or I don't even know what other gens there are. I'm millennial, so whatever comes after me. That Facebook sounds archaic. Facebook sounds like such an old person place to be. But I have found so much work in Facebook, and that is because a lot of entrepreneurs are still using Facebook for some of these business related type discussions. So going to Facebook groups and asking questions about marketing, web design, all that stuff. People are on Facebook still, and you need to go where your clients are. So Facebook is a great way to do that marketing, and just say, hey, I can do that website for you. Hey, I could do your email marketing for you. And don't be afraid to say that. And it's also one of the reasons why we build your own website within the course, is that I want you to have an opportunity to have this professional platform to not only say, oh yeah, I can do that for you, but here's my website, here's my portfolio, here's my contact information. That is establishing your brand trust and authority by having those professional looking things. And we talked about this in a podcast a couple weeks ago. Having those professional looking forward facing items can make your brand trust and authority skyrocket almost immediately, because you have this website that shows what you've done before, what you can do. You have this email that has your domain, not laurenlonsdale@gmail.com, but your actual Aura Digital, hello at auradigitalconsulting.com, hello at yourdomain.com. And that is a professional, forward-facing way to show that you have a professionalism about you, and establishes your brand trust. And so that's one of the reasons why we do that within the course, is so that you have that right out the gate. But even if you're not in our course, or you're just you're your own VA and your own working in an agency, and you're just kind of listening to this on the side, that is one way you can do that. Creating that website, creating that domain-based email, all of those things can establish your brand trust and authority. So when you go to these networking events, when you go on Facebook, when you tell people what you do, you have a professional, established platform that you can say, see, I really do these things. See, I really am good at this. And it's a great way to establish that brand trust and authority. And really the reason why you need brand trust and authority is because that will help you get your clients. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking to do, right? You guys didn't jump on this podcast. You didn't take my course. You didn't take some other course as a virtual assistant, or you're not in the world of being a virtual marketing assistant because you want to do it for free. We all want those clients. And if you are coming to this podcast as an entrepreneur or as a remote worker, all of these things can apply to you as well. Establishing your brand trust and your personal brand trust and authority, networking, having a professional email. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a remote worker, utilizing that professional email and that your website, your company's website, to say, oh, hey, yeah, we do this. We do offer these things, and creating that personal brand around you, because that is really important to have when you network in other ways, whether you're networking for your business or you're networking for a personal, I hate the term side hustle, but side hustle. I really hate that term, but your own personal entrepreneurial business, if you're not a full-time entrepreneur. So no matter what space you're in, VA, entrepreneur, remote worker, you can build that brand trust and authority. And it's really important to do so, because that is what's going to get you the work. That's what's going to get you the clients. That's what's going to get you the customers. That's what's going to get you to the next level of your career, is that brand trust and authority, your personal brand trust and authority. So that's what we have for today. I hope that all helps. Hopefully you guys get an idea of how to kind of start establishing your brand trust and authority as a VA, or even as an entrepreneur or a remote worker. I know I talked a lot about, establishing your website and building a fake portfolio and a fake brand, and that might not fit you if you are an entrepreneur or a remote worker. But the idea of a personal brand, creating that personal brand trust and authority does apply to you. And I hope you were able to gain some insight into that. So the next couple episodes are coming out in the next couple of weeks. One I am super excited about. I've been asking this person to do a podcast with me, and it's not her fault that we haven't done it. It's totally my fault. For a while, she's one of my students and now one of my department heads over at the Aura Digital Consulting, our firm and our agency. Her name is Patricia. She took my course probably over a year ago and has been so successful with her business. She is a VA with Freedom Makers. She is one of my top VAs. She is a department head with my company, and I so love her. And so I'm really excited about you guys listening to her journey, her path, why she decided to become a VA, what the course meant to her, and how her business and her personal growth has changed since she finished the course. Really excited about that. I also have a couple stories for you about my personal growth, how a random side hustle landed me my job as a fractional CMO and marketing director at a multi-million-dollar company, which is part of what I do now. And then we're just going to kind of dive in more into the entrepreneur and the VA side of things, about how to find clients, and then talking about how to find your own identity outside of being a military spouse and mom, and things like that. So excited to chat with you guys over the next couple months with the podcast. And I'm so excited to be back on it in a consistent way. And I am saying that to make sure that I continue to be consistent. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys. And I will chat with you soon. Again, my name is Lauren Lonsdale. I am the Work From Home Milspo, meeting military spouses where they're at. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope we gave you some valuable insight into your work from home career as a military spouse. If you haven't already, we hope you join us over at the Work From Home Milspo membership, where you will learn the skills to become a creative marketing virtual assistant, as well as have the ongoing support of military spouses just like you, live trainings from me, and resources to use for yourself or your clients. Visit us at the WFHMilspo.com, as well as our virtual assistant agency made just for students, MilspoVirtualSolutions.com, and give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok to get more daily tips and information on remote work for military spouses. My name is Lauren Lonsdale, and I'm here to